Claire Pearsall. Benjamin, Claire, thanks both. We were just all remarking, actually, weren't we, about how incredible Moksha was. And Benjamin, you were telling us a story about how at 10 you had your own little campaign going on.
Well, she was fantastic and so inspiring. And when I was 10, I led a campaign against a Scottish power plant in the Cheshire countryside where I lived. So, you know, I think getting kids to engage with these questions and ideas, there's a real power to children speaking about these issues, but also it can shape their lives afterwards.
They're convicted by, you know, they've got their convictions at that age, haven't they? They haven't been broken down by the realities of the world, so they can really get stuck behind something. Anyway.
I was just worried about sherbet dips at that age. I don't know why they weren't much ponies. I'm very impressed by anyone that was so active, so young.
Really well.
Claire, kick us off with the papers. On the front page of the Daily Telegraph, it's not their main story, but they've got a column here. And the headline is 1.4 billion wasted on, in inverted commas, insane NHS drive to hit net zero.
And it's amazing because we go from a young person talking about love of the environment and the damage to water, and then you see the amount of money that has been wasted by the NHS. And it seems that they've spent at least £1.4 billion of taxpayers' money on net zero schemes without reducing its carbon footprint. So you wonder who on earth was advising them in the first place and how this would make a difference. There's an awful lot of money being spent with absolutely zero to come back from it.
But the government do say in here, or the NHS do say in here, that they've reduced emissions per pound they spent and they've brought down direct emissions. But, they're clearly concerned that some of these projects don't seem to be getting the benefit.
And they really don't. And there were some really bizarre items on here. There were things like zero-emission vehicles, which, absolutely fine, completely understand that. But it was reducing the carbon footprint through net zero pain relief. And you do sort of wonder what on earth people are thinking. And this is obviously somebody in a sales department somewhere has made this claim, and the NHS has bought into it. I find it absolutely outstanding. I mean, fair play to the salesperson, but what a waste of taxpayers' cash.
Benjamin, what do you make of it? I mean, this strikes me as just another example. I mean, it's net zero this time, but there is lots of wasteful spending in parts of...
There is. I mean, I would take it with a dose of cynicism, because the Daily Telegraph is cynical to some climate change drives, and so I don't know how fair the description might be. I mean, one of the things the story suggests is going paperless as part of the cost, which I would suggest is a good thing, is a rather useful thing. In fact, I think the British state is deeply antiquated in the fact that so much of bureaucracy is still physical and not digital.
Part of the prisons escape story, wasn't it?
Yes, all done on paper.
All done on pieces of paper.
Exactly. So, you know, I don't know if who knows if it really was entirely wasteful. But I do think, you know, the NHS being so enormous, it does give a lot of leverage centrally to try and reduce emissions and climate change and be healthier like that. So, you know, maybe don't waste £1 billion, but do still do it.
Yeah, please don't waste £1 billion.
Yeah, and maybe they're saying that we'll see the benefits further down the line from the upfront investment. Who knows? But move us on to the other story on the front of the Daily Telegraph, Benjamin. And their headline is Trump goes to war on the BBC.
Which he doesn't. But the Daily Telegraph would quite like that to happen, I suspect.
So, what has he said about the BBC?
Well, Donald Trump hasn't...
spokesperson.
Yeah, exactly. Donald Trump hasn't said anything, which is why I think they're hamming it up a little more. But basically, there was this panorama clip that aired before the US presidential election where they spliced together two parts of Trump's speech. They were 52 minutes apart. It may have been a representation of the nature of what he was saying, but it certainly wasn't literally what he said, so it was pretty dubious. Now, Caroline Levitt, if I pronounced that right, who is the White House press spokesperson, does the questions from journalists, has said that British taxpayers are forced to foot the bill for a leftist propaganda machine, and that is what they're getting at. So Donald Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal and I think CNN in the US. So there were some questions of would he go after the BBC. He's left it to a spokesperson to say that. But clearly, you know, it's a serious error, I would say, that the BBC made, and it won't help relations. You know, they have one of only a handful of seats in that press briefing room where the spokeswoman said this, and, you know, could they revoke that from the BBC? They could if they wanted.
And is it right that this has all come from that leaked internal memo about the BBC that we had seen earlier in the week? Is that where this reporting has come from? Are we clear
I think that does form part of it. Right. I mean, I think the BBC have got some serious questions to answer. When you look at the clips, it is quite obvious that there's been a little bit of artistic representation in the cutting and splicing of clips together. the BBC needs to be a lot better than that. But I suppose, on the other hand, if Donald Trump can do some good in this country, if it can tighten up people's attitudes towards the press, if it can bring us a little bit more accuracy in reporting, then that's only got to be a good thing. But I think that he needs to be very, very careful, considering the amount of people who are also banned from the White House press corps because Donald Trump doesn't like them, doesn't like what they write. I think that he perhaps needs to get his own house in order before starting to look at ours.
Yeah, quick to criticise the
It was extraordinary, though. The idea the BBC split that. I mean, if I did that as a newspaper journalist, if I put two quotes together in a sentence, I would be fired.
Absolutely.
It would not be a question mark.
It's 52 minutes apart. It's a long time apart. I mean, we all will remember the speech, and we remember the tone of the speech. We were watching it at the time. And there was, I don't think it's unfair to say, there was violence within the speech, but the idea that he said those two things one after the other just was not the case.
To present that as fact, I think, is deeply concerning, that the BBC believes it can pass that off, that nobody would notice. I just think that's outrageous.
It's a problem.
Let's move on to the Times. Claire, this is the call from some within the US Congress that Andrew Madden Windsor, as he's now known, of course, should give evidence about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right. So, I mean, this is, I think, is going to rumble on, and it's actually Steve Reed, the Housing Secretary, has managed to get himself involved. He was asked the question, should Andrew Mountbatten Windsor have to do this? And he said, well, that's clearly a matter that's up for him and his family. But it's going to bring into, I think, more light on the subject, given the seriousness of those accusations and the behaviour of Jeffrey Epstein. I think that it's inevitable that this call will go ahead. Now, whether Andrew will go and do that, whether he's going to remain in the United Kingdom or is he going to put himself somewhere else, I think that it remains to be seen what happens to him in the future as to whether he would actually give in, because I think we all have to point out that he has denied any involvement with all of this all the way along. So he's probably going to think he's got no case to answer, so therefore it shouldn't apply to him.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats on the committee, the ones that are asking for him to come, the Republicans on the committee have distanced themselves entirely from this request for Andrew to go to give evidence. Is there a suggestion of another way he could do it as well?
Well, I think there was some suggestion that he could give written evidence. Is that right?
Well, the suggestion is that he could do it via Zoom. He could do it via video call from the UK, so he wouldn't necessarily have to go to the US. I don't think the means by which he would do it will be his main concern. No. You know, there's no reason to think that he is offering to give evidence. And, of course, the documents that have been coming out in the US, the emails, are more of those to come? Will there be more revelations? Is that why the King has come down so harshly in recent weeks? Because stuff is going to come out. There's no indication that he wants to go and share things voluntarily. That's been evident for 5 years since he voluntarily did the Emily Maitlis interview that didn't go so well.
No, exactly.
I mean, of course, he's so good at interviews. I'm sure it would only go fantastically.
Wouldn't it? It would be box office viewing.
It really would. All right. Oh, traitors again. I can't
escape
this.
You've got to look away now.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've been trying to avoid it. I wanted to save it for Christmas to watch with the family. So no spoilers,
by the way.
But unfortunately...
Can we do this without any spoilers?
We can.
Yes.
Can we? Good.
Yes.
Okay. Take us with them.
Exactly. I mean, look, you're not going to get to Christmas, so you might as well give up on
it's
that
a false hope.
But, so basically, it's a story from the newspaper that celebrities are desperate to get on the traitors because have you seen the ratings? It was 12 million people,
huge
but not you, for the Thursday final, which is... You know, I mean, that's only football matches get that.
Well, yeah, and there'll be more catching up.
Exactly.
Watching the next day, like I did.
And so, apparently, celebrities, the A-list celebrities, are begging to get on it because the great thing is you get 12 million viewers, so it makes you a household name if you're not already. So people like Kat Burns, who I was a fan of her music, but most people didn't know her. And then you don't have to get injured training for dancing. You don't have to eat all sorts of things in the jungle. And also, they all got a great edit. So... Apparently, celebrities are desperate to do it now, and I can understand why. Would you be a traitor or a faithful?
I would be a faithful. We had this question yesterday. We had David Olusoga on yesterday, so we asked him the questions about being in there. You haven't watched it?
I haven't watched it, so I have to put that out there. The one person in the country
I hadn't watched it previously either.
Okay.
For, perhaps I think maybe similar reasons to you, but I will tell you it's fantastic television.
So that's going to be my afternoon
it's
viewing.
Genuinely
catch up on all the
stressful
past series.
Isn't it?
I think being a traitor, I think, would be stressful. Don't you? But you'd be in control.
I would hate to be a traitor because I can't any thought in my head comes out, which is a risk on live TV. But I do think that if you are a celebrity and you're an agent trying to get your client on it, you want to be the traitor because you're getting far more airtime and you're far more likely to make it to the end because, of course, you're kind of controlling the format because you have more power. And so I think, you know, the A-listers wanting to get on the show. Apparently, David Tennant, Sandy Toksvig, Danny Dyer, they're all in the
I've
list.
seen Danny Dyer talking about it.
He wants to get in as well. So there's a civilian version coming in the new year. I mean, maybe the reason you don't watch it, I don't know if you just don't have time to watch it, but it made me feel a little uncomfortable about what we're saying about society, about this idea about lying and cheating our way to winning. That's what put me off watching it in the first place. I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, look at where I work in the House of Commons. I think they're surrounded by that kind of behaviour. But it's a really interesting look at human behaviour. So if you take it from a social experiment point of view, I think that's sort of quite interesting. But I am going to have to go back and watch it. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll get to go on the non-celebrity version of it, the normal person. Maybe I should apply for that.
You should. I mean, it's fascinating. I will recommend it, even though it's on another broadcaster. I think I'm allowed to do that because it's that good. Right, a quick final thought, then, we haven't got loads of time.
Yeah, we've only got a minute. I mean, pick your story. We've got one about...
that picture of the house on the Star. Just
what
the
is
Barbie
this?
house.
The Daily
This is
Star.
ridiculous,
OK,
isn't it?
Barbie's
It's
Pink
a
Palace,
nice
this
and
is.
finally.
So this is a woman in West London, a £2 million townhouse, and she's painted it pink.
Why not?
I don't know if you've got the picture. It doesn't really work without it.
Unfortunately, we don't.
I might have to hold it up.
It's a pink house, so you can imagine that. Neighbours are livid, and I suppose the question is, you know, would you tolerate your neighbour or your house being bright pink or a bright colour?
Well, hold on.
Is this
Some
okay?
houses in like Notting Hill are painted kind of bright colours. I mean, is it like shocking
There are
pink?
some
or is it
streets with lots of different colours.
Yeah.
You know what, let's just mix it up. I think that you should be allowed to paint your house whatever colour you like.
There you go.
On that
Free
note, we'll leave
society.
it. Thanks both for your company this morning. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciated it. And top stories next.
We are under Israeli military